this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream on this incredibly hot and stuffy Sunday evening in June 2025. Hey AJ, thank you for the good evening in the chat. Yeah, what are we going to do today? CD Radio says, has anyone seen the couch cushions? And we still have not found your couch cushions. I'm so sorry, and I still have not figured out the connection with the couch cushions. It was a nice stream, CD Radar, this afternoon, when you ran on the same line that we are going to run today, the left Rhine DLC. That is a DLC for Trans-Europ-Express 3, I think, so from that era. And I'm not finding my stuff again. You have to allow me a bit of leniency today, because my brain does not really work well with temperatures that we have at the moment. CD Radar says thanks, and my favorite, the left Rhine. Actually a DLC that I bought myself after I became an ambassador, so I did not get each and every DLC in the past for free when getting ambassador, but this one I picked up in a sale just recently, and I have never run it so far actually, so this will be a first tonight. We will be running an EuroCity service on the Baureihe 103 locomotive, what is actually quite nice. Donut Diplomat, a long time no see. Good evening, long time no see. Finally my finals are over. Happy to hear that. I hope everything went as you hoped for it to go. And yeah, it will be a cozy, chilly stream tonight, because I am laying the groundwork for an unboxing stream that is due for Tuesday night, because that is the announced release day for a DLC that brings to us the German crocodile that we already have on the Mittenwaldbahn, but in its older version with a dark green livery and sporting, as the description says, in Indusi 54. I don't know yet. Theodoros and Juniper, so nice to see you. Hey, good night. I was hoping for another stream on this route. Yes, you will get one. And Theodoros says, hello all. The thing is that we will be getting a new timetable for this route. So much it is already in the news, so I am not spoiling or giving anything away. I cannot show you anything in the timetable because it is still embargoed, but it is not a secret that you will get a wholly new timetable for the year 1984 with the new DLC that is supposed to be released on Tuesday. And from what it looks now, we are going to do an unboxing stream and have a comparison for what we do now on the original 1997 timetable. The DLC brings you the Baureihe 103, the Schnellfahrlokomotive, the fastest and strongest locomotive for the Deutsche Bundesbahn, at least at the time, in the era before the ICEs came up. And CD Radar says more regional trains that will be slowing down my VEC train. Yes, CD Radar ran his CD Radar Vectron in blue with the fox on the side along the line, all the way from Koblenz to Mainz, then Mainz to Frankfurt, then Frankfurt to Fulda, and then Fulda to Kassel most probably. So the Rhineland-Palatinate and Hessia route all the way. So what are we still getting from the left Rhine route? We're also getting the Baureihe 110 that originated in the Bremen-Oldenburg DLC, but this one is a different version. It's the red one, not the all red one like the one in Oldenburg, but with this white thing at the front. It's called ein Lätzchen, whereas how do you call it in English? What you attach to your baby's neck so that the food that does not go into the mouth doesn't spoil the clothing. There is a word, I forgot it, unfortunately. Upgrade route took 4 hours CD Radar to do this, yeah. At least this is... Well, it's on my tongue, but I can't think of the word. The German word is Latz, and the diminutive is Lätzchen, and this white thing is called ein weißes Lätzchen on this Baureihe 110. You get the driving trailer, the 463.0. The Baureihe 103 that we're getting is also the 103.1 actually, because there are only 4 103.0 locomotives, the 4 Serien locomotive, and this is the Serien, what actually was built in the series then. And yeah, was the latest in locomotive technology when it comes to tap changes. So there was more or less the end product of the development of tap changes, but it's quite nice since we discussed the British 87 last week. And yeah, well, the development obviously went on and on and on with a thyristor version on the 110, and the 103 in the series version also used the thyristor tap changing machine with 39 notches. And Juniper says, when sitting in a train with crying babies, I need the thing you stuff into baby's mouth when they can't shut up. It's a pacifier. This one I know. A bib. Now I know what it is. A bib is what you put to baby's necks so that the clothing doesn't get spoiled when they don't hit their mouth with their spoons. And this is called a bib. A little bib on this locomotive. Alright. You also get the first version of the ICE in 1997, but still the 103s used to be around, and from the Niedertalbahn layering in is the 628.2. This one is layering in from Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg, obviously, because this is where the ICE one lives. Okay. We're driving a non-stopping train since I want to drive the 103, and those are intercity EuroCity locomotives at the time. And I thought I wanted to play an EuroCity Dortmund to Milano Verdi. So EuroCity network at the time, really important, starting at like 10 years before that in 1987, and then connecting many targets in Central Europe, including sometimes Scandinavia, Spain with sleeper trains, and the sleeper trains later were cancelled. And now there are still EC trains sometimes now. ECE, EuroCity Express trains as it comes to Germany, then Thalys trains when it comes to France, and so on. Donald Diplomat says, yesterday I went by train from Ostrava to Prague, and it was open wagon. Holy moly, as unlucky person I am, there were some kids behind me screaming pretty much always in the end. Just went to another non-taken seat. Yeah, this is sometimes a bit of a lottery where you end up sitting. Last time I was on an intercity train set just recently, a couple of weeks ago, when I was returning from Mittenwald actually. I had to sit on the floor because the train was so full, because the Skoda Baureihe 102 was again broken, so they had to use the old intercity train set. And you can see the spot where I sat on the floor in the model in the game, what is quite interesting. Well, it was not so comfy to sit on the floor next to those railings for putting in the bicycles. What is sad, because I actually like traveling on the Skoda train sets with the Baureihe 102. But they will disappear soonish, and they are so often broken. I had entire first-class compartment for myself on Saturday travels as CD Radar. Well, that sounds definitely much better. So what are we going to do? We are running this train originating in Dortmund, what is in the game, but not in this DLC here, to Milano Verdi, what is obviously in the north of Italy. So we will be going south here from Koblenz to Mainz, what is completely in Rhineland-Palatinate in Germany. And from there, then the train will go on further south, probably passing Munich before it goes to Innsbruck and then to Italy. Well, I have no idea. Maybe it takes a different route. And it's not going that way. So, we have 13 cars, so 12 carriages, coaches attached to our Baureihe 103. Juniper one day you have the empty train with beautiful panoramic views, and then the other day you have the overcrowded train with a defect air conditioning and the board restaurant without currywurst. Well, on my way to work on Friday, the train got stuck because of some incident in the station up ahead, so the train was sitting there on the open track a couple of minutes, actually, like more like half an hour, and not going on. Typically the whole journey is only 5 minutes on this train, and well, it was actually quite nice. Was sitting on the upper level in one of those 4-person compartments on my own with a little table. In front of my window was the nice countryside, and I actually managed to get my laptop working, so that was nice. After half an hour the train was moved back to where I originated, and that was not very helpful, but actually working on the train was nice. Juniper, the EuroCity 5 went via Mannheim, Basel, Gotthard. Thank you so much for telling me. So no Munich, no Innsbruck, but Mannheim, and then Switzerland before we get to Milano. Ah, well, it's actually more like it. Why would we go to Innsbruck if we go to Milano? Milano is more in the west. So if you want to go to Milano, it is probably makes more sense to go via Switzerland. Thank you for banning another viewer, finder, seller, whatever. What do? Reverse it to neutral so that we can open our doors. Then we have to set up our brake system. Brake key is a bit hidden behind the dynamic brake. What is an interesting dynamic brake? We will get to this later. Apply the direct brake so that we can release the driver's brake to a minimum. And if you're wondering where you can switch on the PZB, LZB and CIFA, then you have to go to the other cab, because it's on cab 2. Actually, unfortunately we cannot go through the engine room properly because it is not implemented, represented. Here is PZB, here is LZB, and somewhere around here was the CIFA up here. Yeah, Baureihe 103, probably the most iconic locomotive out of this era. Somehow I'm really tricky with my movements. Close the door. Calypso Kimi, hi, I'm a new interested noob. I just read your introduction. Yeah, that's nice of you. Nice to have you on the channel and in the chat. Releasing the brakes, reverse it to forward, and then let's see if we are getting power. Tab changer to 1, yeah, looks good. For actually getting this whole train started, we can use the transformer switch. You can see we're getting a bit more power then. I actually don't know how much power this train can take to accelerate. With jumping. Shout out to anyone who reads description right away, says CD Raider. Yes, Theodoros. What would be appropriate 80s German pop music for this ride? The 80s. What would I tell you? Neue Deutsche Welle for the 80s. But we are in 97 here, so that is a different era already. Don't Diplomat. And also for some reason I started driving too often on the Nahverkehr Dresden route. I never liked it that much, but now I kind of find it more interesting. And this happens to everyone's a CD Raider. Calypso Kim, I just played the game twice and then I thought I might be interested in watching streams. Well, you can see that we are playing with a quite reduced HUD in this stream, that we are looking well, I would say quite thoroughly and profoundly into what is happening here, discussing the technical aspects, discussing signaling aspects, safety systems and so on. Oh, I did not turn off the Discord. We'll be seeing a lot of HV signaling. '97 is obviously not anymore Deutsche Bundesbahn, but it is after the reunification. But it was still before the ICE trains took over completely. I thrive to be as professional as you someday. That is the best thing to do. Striving is the best. Oh my bad. Thought this was the 90s. On Tuesday, come back on Tuesday and we will back in the 80s. Oh, that reminded me that I wanted to visit Meissen again as a CD Raider. I love that bridge over Labe, my hometown river, yes. Yeah, I'm really tired as well, Calypso Kimi. And English is not my first language either. Donut Diplomat, should I buy this route or the Semmering? I would advise you to buy both. And yes, I am German. Depending on what you can get with more discount. Now maybe it switched off because we still had the transformer switch on. Let's see if we can apply any power again. All of a sudden I lost power. I can hear the blowers, but I'm not getting any power anymore. Something sent us into a traction lock when I was not paying attention. It's my main circuit breaker. I don't get a warning light at any rate for the main circuit breaker. I heard it switch. No, locomotive. Ah, yes, no. Now I have power again. Seems to have popped the main circuit breaker because I left this boost switch, the transformer switch, on for too long. I can hear on the accent I play other games with a lot of German people, yes. At this point I always turn back on the HUD until I know the issues, as says Juniper. Yes, I wonder why there are driven modern cars in the year 97. Well, car models are a bit generic, and I don't think that they changed this for the upcoming 84 timetable. Sometimes I have to look at the maximum speed profile, especially since I'm not looking at the road as I'm supposed to be, and read the chat. Here is another one coming from the opposite direction. So EuroCity services are actually the successor to the Trans-Europ-Express. Those super iconic trains that were in the end pulled by the 103. Yeah, actually I like things like this to happen. It makes it always a bit more interesting to find out what actually went wrong. But it's only fun if you find out what went wrong. It makes it exciting, yeah. And Donut Diplomat, back to your question, I should definitely say Semmering is one of the best routes in the game. Oh, did I overspeed already? Oh, yeah. There is not much leeway. Oh, I can hardly hear the horn inside. Oh, and maybe I'm being too harsh and annoying, but I don't think there was the screen in the cab. I'm quite sure that in the end they had this screen in 97. Juniper, I noticed with the maximum speed profile it does not go down when the safety system like 1000 Hz activates, or when the light on the Dutch SNG goes to yellow or reduced speed. In 97, I would not count on it. It is an Abular screen, and they might already have had it in 97. Limit to 110 announced. So let's see what the brake does. At the moment we're still braking with air brakes. Here it is already, the 110. We're a bit slow. And I was waiting for the dynamic brake to take over and being blended in, but it did not happen. Theodorus back then, have you ever been on the real life version of this train, Tiger? No. Unfortunately not. At least not that I can remember. So in 97 I was not, I'm quite sure. Whether I was on an Intercity or EuroCity before 97, I'm not entirely sure. And yeah, Juniper, the speed line in the game does not show the reduced speed that comes from safety systems. Neither does it show the reduced speed that comes from signal speeds. Now we got a VR2 signal, this is why I'm slowing down. To 40. And also acknowledged it, and we got 1000 Hertz. Monitoring, not to get a penalty break like CD Radar this afternoon. Actually giving us a number 3. Let's see why this might be the case. Theodoros left Rhine has beautiful scenery, though one of my favorite route in Train Sim Classic. So why we are getting ZS3 with number 3, I don't know. And CD says, according to Wikipedia, electronic Ebula only started to be installed on trains in 1999. Alright. I got only 2 penalty breaks in a whole 4 hours. What I consider success. Alright. And Juniper says, thanks to DB massive delays, I always get anxiety on the train when it slows down unexpectedly. Well, the Kennziffer 3, the number 3 at the signal is always a bit spooky because it can also announce that you're running into a dead end track. That's the driving trailer. With the 110. Yeah, Theodoros, I have to agree. The little that I have seen so far from this route, it has a really beautiful scenery. It does not look so great in winter, but this might be a thing of time of day 4 and Train Sim World 3 routes. How did you see my penalty break? I thought you were long gone then. Yeah, to be honest, I lurked a bit, and just when I tuned back in, bing, there was a penalty break. So I gather we are going to the left here, since we're getting an SH1 and don't have to stop at this red signal. Why we were actually routed here through the loop line, I can't tell you. Well, we just did not go here through the express line. I don't know. Juniper, I'm really interested in learning more about the technology that allows cab cars to control attached locomotive. There can sometimes even be multiple locomotives coupled in the middle and the end of the train. Oh yeah. This is a complicated matter, to be honest. Konventionelle Wendezugsteuerung, time division multiplexing, frequency division multiplexing. And Theodoros, this is an odd routing for EC train. And Donut Diplomat, the same. The push and pull also looks really good in my opinion. Yeah, the routing is a bit obscure. Why did they send us with a signaled limit of 3 through the loop line? Maybe it is just for us to enjoy the scenery. And in the 90s, what music were we listening to in the 90s? So most probably Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine, Radiohead. Whoops. And what did I do? I blew my main circuit breaker. Or did something else happen? No, it was still closed. Now it is closed again at any rate. That was the Cipher. At any rate, we are out of this 30 kilometers per hour stretch. And let's get this train back on speed. You can see it here on this traction indicator. Boost off, boost on. That's about like 100 volts more on the driving motors. Now we're back to 110, or what are we? 120. .30 kilonewtons should be okay. Here's the 130. Yeah, here you see why it is called left Rhine, because to the left there is the Rhine. Donut Diplomat. Oh, and I gotta ask a professional when I'm driving Vectron with those wagons for coal. It doesn't allow me to go past 105 kilometers G. Just lights up and gives me penalty brake. Is that normal? That is a bit weird. Well, you're running under LZB obviously then, right? Otherwise you wouldn't get G. And if you're running the train in PZB U mode, then it is totally correct that it limits you to 100. Or actually 105 technically, but you're not allowed to go beyond the 100 kilometers per hour. So if your train is that heavy that you are Z to PZB mode U, then it is totally correct that you get a penalty brake at 105 kilometers per hour. Regardless of whether you are running under LZB or not. Slow down to 100. Announced. Juniper PCB on a LZB stretch is a little unusual, but maybe at night. Well, the freight trains run on LZB at night. And I think I drive in G. Yeah, G is the setting for the brakes, not the PZB mode. For the brake settings, you have either G or P on freight trains. On heavy ones, you would have G, especially on the locomotive, maybe on the whole train, maybe on the first 5 cars. But your PCB mode would be M or U, depends on how heavy you are and what cars you actually have and what locomotive. Lofty, hey Tiger, sorry for the late arrival. Nice to see you. Nice to see you in the chat. Hope you're well. Yeah, I messed up. I drive U or M. Yeah, probably you are set to U. And I'm aiming for the 110. That was the last speed. The latest speed limit that I saw. Yeah, and it is correct. Actually trying to drive according to the signals, even though it's the first time that I'm running this line and reading the chat, so root for me guys, please. Theodoros Tiger, kinda off topic, but what is the standard procedure for when a passenger got a heart attack, other dire medical condition in an ICE train? And Lofty says, I know that's a tap changer, but I can't not see it as a steering wheel. Yep. Well, at least it has a wheel, unlike the 87, the British 87. And Theodoros, I don't know what the standard procedure for that is. Typically, you would stop at the next possibility. You would tell the driver, contact the dispatcher, and then you will find a way to stop the train and bring an ambulance or an emergency doctor on the train as soon as possible. So actually the freight train here had to wait for us to pass. That was nice. Limit to 90 will be upcoming, so I have to pay attention a bit. we can coast into this. And it's a tap changer with 39 taps. Even more than the 87. Here's the 90 announced. Since we slowed down below the 105, we don't need to acknowledge it and don't need to slow down to 80 because of PZB. And we can just coast down or slow it down to 90 until we get there. Interesting difference. Here is the 90 reduction between the British 87 and this locomotive when it comes to the dynamic brakes. When we were running the 87 last week, we were talking about that we actually need a connection to the overhead catenary for using the dynamic brakes on the 87, even though it is a rheostatic brake, not the regenerative one. Because we need the energy to create the magnetic field for the electric motor. While on this locomotive you have dynamic brakes that work without a connection to the overhead catenary, so we can break through the neutral sections. Because the driving motors are creating the current that is needed for creating the magnetic fields in the motors themselves. So they use the motor created by the driving motors for creating the magnetic field. It just needs like a jolt of energy as a kickstart, and this comes from the battery. Theodoros, so the long distance train would stop even on those smaller regional stations. I think that depends on how urgent it is and whether you can get your emergency doctor or the ambulance to those smaller stations in time, and whether the platforms are long enough for your train to safely stop there. So I think this will be a judgment call, more or less. Whether you go on to the next scheduled stop or whether you stop in between. But I can't tell you that it is exactly like this. If you're interested, then I can check if I can find any directive handling situations like this. But it most often here is the limit to 10. Standard procedures for emergency situations need to be adapted to the situation in question, I guess. Here's, yeah. It's never a nice thing for sure, just curious. And Vanguard Juniper says this route has a nice tunnel entrances. Yes, true. Reminds you a bit of the British tunnel entrances on the London Brighton line, right? In the southern part. A limit of 100, I think I said. Yep, the scenery is definitely nice. A castle, I cannot tell you at the moment what castle or abbey or whatever it is on top of this. And yeah, the speed clock does not really allow anything. At least the dynamic brake works. So again, announcing on Tuesday we will probably make an unboxing stream for the Baureihe 194 DLC. And why am I telling you that? Because you will get a new timetable for this route here, themed in 1984. With the German crocodile locomotive doing freight runs, and also some Umbauwagen pre-war coaches that have been refitted so that you can use them for passenger services according to the standards of post-war. And when it comes to the version that lives on the Mittenwaldbahn, we have talked about the different Indusi versions. Indusi 60 mainly. And this version that we will get with the new DLC is supposed to have Indusi 54. We will see what differences there are. Oh, did we get a faster speed in the meantime? Oh, I missed the 140 limit. Now we're going full throttle. Here's the 120 LF7 sign. Driving trailer with the 110 at the end. Well, if you like a dynamic gradient profile, then maybe you would rather buy the Semmering. Because that's the thing when running along a river, and this is why it is so great to build railways there. You just have a steady gradient most of the time, and that's it. And the Rheinfall by Schaffhausen is not implemented in the game. Donut Diplomat said, I think I'll go for the Semmering first. Semmering is the newer route. And I think it's a gem, the Semmering Bahn. Did I miss another speed limit increase to 130? I did. So I see it coming. We are probably late at Mainz at the end of our service. Here is the announcement for the 120 limit again. Interesting fact about this locomotive is that only the cabs are welded to the frame. Here's the 120, whereas those parts in the middle are actually like 3 separate covers that are only screwed to the frame. So if you want, you can remove them. And this double row of ventilation grids makes it easily distinguishable. This locomotive, the Serien locomotive from the 4 prototypes in 4 Serien Lokomotiven. And Domo Diplomat says, thanks for the info, I'll unscrew them when I see one and sell it. Well, you do that. Just a quick peek at the upcoming speed profile. A slight increase and then a double drop. Here's the increase to 130. But we are quite a long train. Was that already the announcement of the drop? I couldn't see the sign. No, it wasn't. It was just a warning sign for the passengers. That looked dangerous what this car was doing there. Limit to 120. Here it is, 120. Here's your drive-by Donut Diplomat. It's really a long train, isn't it? It's also an interesting fact that the Trans-Europ-Express trains and the intercity trains in the beginning were only first class, and second class came later then. Alright. Now for the 90 we did not get 1000 Hertz, even though we were going faster than 105. Maybe at the time it was not installed yet with the GPAs here. "13 carriages is quite long, yeah. Here was the 90 limit. Will you do one more route back after this? Let's see. How much time will be left in? Maybe part of it with a different locomotive. 160. Or you can go to Frankfurt. Or I could do this, true. A blast from the past and then to Frankfurt in 2016 or something. And then to Fulda. No, that's what you did today. With the 103. Oh, that would be actually interesting. Do the reverse. Like, see, the radar came from the future and drove this route here. On the modern Vectron, and we can take the old 103 to Frankfurt. Go from Mainz to Frankfurt with the 103. Why not? Stop at the most modern Fernbahnhof. Or you can take any ICE and go 280 kilometers per hour. So we are on this route. Now on this route I can't. I need LZB for it. Heroes, I once drove a freight train from Offenburg all the way to Cologne in Train Simulator Classic. Alright. Those are the things that you have to experience. Sorry. Still trying to reach 160 here. Well, this locomotive was actually built to pull wagons with a speed of 200. But I don't think 12 of them. Yeah. Donut Diplomat says it's crazy that the Bauer 110 can go that fast and it's too strong and it's like 45 years old. Oh. I missed the speed limit, obviously. It dropped to 150. Yeah, that was obviously necessary to drop here. Now I'm good again. Is the drop already over? It is. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But another one is coming in. While driving a new route, while reading the chat, is not advisable. Well, I will not ignore it now that I know it. Abyss, hey, at least you can't crash into anything. Oh, that is not true. There are derailments and you can crash, but normally the timetable should be in a way that you can't collide with a different train. You would rather end up deadlocked at the red signal. Here's the 150. This time I did not ignore it. If you go 160 into a 90 corner, yeah, or with some locomotives on some switches. We once did a celebratory stream with the Flying Scotsman steam locomotive, and on a double slip switch next to Liverpool, the locomotive almost made a 360 flip. Cars, trucks, buses, tractors, bicycles or motorcycles stuck on crossing, other trains in head-on, rear-end, side collisions, pedestrian trespassers and animals steer, boop, 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 boop. Yes, but not in the game. Not in the game. Juniper, I mean, you can certainly crash into the train in front of, if you disable PCB and go 330. Is that so? I think you would spat out before this happens, no? So that the game would not allow you to pass the red signal that protects the train in front of you. You need to be really fast. And time it right. And unlike in real life, the signals in the game switch quite fast. And you can't even spawn a train into the game if there is already a train approaching. Now I may go 160. If you're looking for chaos, says Theodoros, go for Derail Valley. This game stops the scenario once it's bad. Yep. It's not called Derail Valley for nothing. But you can crash into any trains you want on the starter map. I don't know what it is called. This in the training center, you mean? Because there are no signals. That's true. I've never tried it, but this sounds right. Turn on PCB and press the Frei button. Well, the release button does not always release, and if you get the next 1000 Hertz or 500 Hertz, you will be stopped short after releasing. If at all, you will have to sneak past the red signal with the override button, but this only beats the PZB there, not the game stopping the simulation after you spat. I see, might check it out. I have already countless hours of experimenting with other vehicles. Oops, didn't intend to make a link. Alright, it looks as if it was deleted anyway. Oh, I am 1 subscriber short to 1000. Oh, please subscribe. I already did, otherwise I would subscribe again. I am. This is why I learned about the stream that CD Radar did this afternoon. Beam and G drive, yeah. But the dot make the link. Like a site in Nigeria, what NG? Oh. Here it is announced. And now we really have to brake. It looked to me like 100 on the sign. What does it say here? Yeah, 100. But it is really, really short for 100. So I overdid it. Oh yeah, I meant the override button, sorry. Yeah, but the override button does not save you from the 500 Hertz, right? So you need to be slow enough to crawl past the 500 Hertz and then use the override button to sneak past the 2000. That you can do, but the game will end the simulation anyway. Well, you can call this overbraking, huh? We have to slow down for Mainz Hauptbahnhof anyway. Soon, in 2 steps to 60. Yes! Do you recognize it again? We got a VR0, Halt erwarten. That means to 60 for the PZB. So that the 500 Hertz does not stop us. This looks like the 500 Hertz here. But we did not get anything from... Oh, they want us shunt into the station. Now we have to use the override button that Theodoros was talking about. And now I know where the Kennlicht comes from in Frankfurt S-Bahn. Here, that white light on the distance signal should not be on in this context. And we did not get the Befehl 40. So is my PZB even on or is wrong here? Well, at any rate, the 85 is flashing. But the magnets don't seem to do anything. So if you think back of the video, difference between shunting and train services and transitioning from one to the other. If our train number was in the book, it might have been possible for us to transition without stopping at this signal from a train service into a shunting service. But why we would do this on our journey from Dortmund to Milano is a bit as obscure as why they sent us into the loop line. Donut Diplomat, are the speed limits applied correctly on this route? I mean, on the Mittalbahn you have a signal with white 6, but the 60 speed limit applies way later. This is not a bug. The game only shows you and enforces the line speed, and sometimes on the newer locomotives and routes the maximum authorized speed of the vehicle. Unfortunately, also sometimes a 100 speed cap for freight trains, what is not correct because some freight trains can go 120. What the game never shows and never indicates, or if so only in abnormal instances, is the signal speed. So if the signal shows you a white ZS3 signal, that is not line speed but signal speed, and this speed is not enforced by the game. So the line speed typically changes later on a switch maybe, and the signals prepare you for this drop in speed limit and signal you down. Then you have to be below that speed at the signal already, at the white 3 or 6 for example, even though the track speed limit that is enforced in the game drops only later. Alright. Well, here we are. At any rate, at Mainz Hauptbahnhof. And in this situation when we're approaching a red signal or a red signal with the SH1 that allows us to pass as a shunting service, the distance signal should be dark completely without having to show the additional light. And this is the Burg in Mainz Hauptbahnhof in Frankfurt S-Bahn as well. Yeah. So, we're doing a route hopping now. Here's the route hopping point. Lock the doors. Yeah, but I might just be pretty stupid, but why just they in real life leave yellow 6 and like make us somehow with a sign maybe slow later so we could save travel time? I'm not quite sure if I understand the question correctly, but typically you have two different speed limit regimes in Germany, unlike in the Dutch system, for example. The Dutch system, you have one speed now, at least, according to the latest route, the plaatselijke snelheid, and this can be changed by fixed speed signs and signals alike. In systems like the German ones or the Austrian ones, for example, you have two different speed limit regimes. One is the line speed, and you get those black numerals on white square signs announced with black numerals on yellow triangular signs. And running independently of this, you have the signal speed with the white numeral on black announced with the yellow numeral on black. And typically those signals are used if the speed limit is invoked because of a certain passing in the track, while the line speed is always there for this piece of track. And typically you will get the ZS3 signs if you are routed across a switch, and then they represent the speed limit on the switch. And now I did not go back to my train, unfortunately. Linke Rheinstrecke. Let's go back on foot to Mainz Hauptbahnhof, where we just left. Hop over like 20 years to the future and then drive so back again at Mainz Hauptbahnhof. Here is the marker for the route hopping, and we hop to Frankfurt. Not reduced, but the full timetable. And we are hopping 20 years to the future. Time travel. It's like a deja vu. Like I have seen this already, but I just can't remember when. Says CD Radar. I can remember when. It was this afternoon. And Thomas, it's always Thomas. So, that is the modern version. This looks slightly different, the whole contraption. Tin roof is away. And let's find a signal where we might be able to place our train. Oops. Maybe I should go from the side where it is open. By the way, how did those signs get here? Rettungstunnel betreten nur im Notfall gestattet. Is that really so? I thought this is actually not an emergency tunnel. Oh wow, there are 642 on this Frankfurt DLC. Didn't know that. Yes, the 642 from the Mainz Hbf are layering in here. So let's... Now this track is obviously not free. This is the problem with the not reduced timetable. It's hard to find a track that you can use. Maybe I use track 2 then, after all. Will be harsh to get my long train in here. Well, it looks free at any rate. Go all the way up to the signal, just delete the train. Yeah, but I wanted to do it without deleting. (103). Let's take a short one. And it works. With 4 cars, this thing should go like crazy. Theodoros, every time I see Thomas now, I think about the scenario Spectre mentioned in Discord when he has to slow down American grain train down the Cajon. Well, I hope Thomas doesn't have to do it. At least in the early Thomas episodes. He had accidents quite often, actually, when he did not pay attention to the troublesome trucks or did not listen to the brakeman. And then he ended up in a hairdresser's shop, for example. And the fat controller had to have him pulled out. Does the Bauer 103 layer into this DLC? No, it does not. At least I don't know that it would. Now we need a path. Let's see how this works. The lights are here. I might have forgotten the lights on the last run. Light switch is a bit hidden because it is here next to the tap changer wheel. And also we might need a bone for the reverser. Set path. Where do we want to end up? Upstairs or downstairs? I think we should go somewhere over the rainbow. Let's go to track 1. Through Flughafen. Ronnie is here. German stuff. Yes, we are running the Baureihe 103 through a time travel. Just arrived here on left Rhine from Koblenz coming, and now we are going here through the crowded timetable. Let's see if we can add a waypoint to it. How is it done again? Add go via point. It is going through Fernbahnhof. No, it is going straight ahead. Let's go through Frankfurt Regional. This is Regionalbahnhof. Let's go through Fernbahnhof. But it doesn't want to allow me. Do I have to click on the track and then do it this way around? I'm sometimes confused with... Here! Ah, it works. I just did not long enough. I have a waypoint, but it is not a stopping point. At least you try that LZB. E and Ronnie would be driving, and that 425 wasn't there in 97. No, I wasn't. It wasn't. But we are now here in, what is it, 2016 or something. Well, we haven't a signal yet, right? Even though we ask for one, we have to wait. What will be the pathing anyway? What's this? Bischofsheim, right? Gustavsburg first, and then Bischofsheim. And then Rüsselsheim. And then... yeah. Airport. And then main station. Currently... sunset cruising at FL 350, that's Ronnie. Yes, that's also nice. Well, we'll see whether we will get some LZB data. At least I turned it on. I think at least I did. Yes, everything is okay. I can chat you the exact messages at the exact timestamps as you did. Yeah, by the way, talking about timestamps. The video that you did about the last video, CD Radar, that was awesome. With all my imitating sounds that the locomotives and the cars and whatever does. With the boy in the end. That was really funny. Yes, it's the weight at the red signal simulator. Well, here's the problem. If you just jump in with your service and have a lot of trains waiting anyway. Let's see if the dispatcher gets it done. Must be a service that is coming in on this track here. And why is there a service coming in on the left track? Nobody knows. Here's a service sitting. Let's see if it will be moving. Trans-Europ 5 routing at its finest. Well, maybe we just broke it. Never know. We will see if this train is moving at some point. $70 $10. Oh, this does not show the train number here. Ah, it is moving, see? It is actually coming in. Ronnie, you'd be surprised at how often our dear infrastructure company is pulling these moves in real life. Alright. This is only something that you can say. Well, at least the train is moving. That gives you some hope. Well, to be honest, if you look at it and see this as the left track and this as the right track with slow and fast, then we are the ones going out on the left track. Yeah. Because we actually should use the tunnel to the right. That gives us some hope, DB, in a nutshell. And there a train going in front of us, perfect. Yeah, but this is a train that is actually going into the tunnel that where it belongs to. Where did it go, our train? Is it already passing? Yeah, we can probably see it. At least the train is moving, is a nice one. Yeah, well, I mentioned it earlier. This week I went from my home station almost to the one station, the one stop that I had to get out, and then the train stopped and turned around and got back to my home station. So I spent 1 hour and arrived where I started. So the train was moving, but it did not help me a lot. So, are we getting a light now? Or do we have to wait for more trains until they sneak us past? Well, to be honest, we are totally on the wrong track here. But we have a signal. If we have a signal, then it should be possible to send us into this track. Otherwise, the signal wouldn't make a lot of sense. Over there, the chalk road itself. Well, I can remember that I waited at Mainz Hauptbahnhof in a regular journey mode service for the dispatcher sorting out all the trains for like 20 minutes when going in the opposite direction. Well, signaler is not having a good mood today, says Donut Diplomat and the radar. It's no wonder that special trains are spawning at his station going in the opposite direction. Hmm? That is true. So another train coming in. Here we're passing over actually to the regular track. To the right. So we still have to go through Römisches Theater on the wrong track, as it seems. And see, there is another train coming in. And I see train even with a 101. Yep. This is the busy non-reduced timetable at Frankfurt S-Bahn. And look, we got a signal. We can go. And look, guys, we are actually getting a Zwangsbremsung. Yeah. See the radar, we are even. Why did we get a Zwangsbremsung? Because I did not acknowledge the VR2 that we were started at. Now it is. There is no VR2. But maybe there was still one when I tried to pass it. Interesting. What happened here? At least we moved even a little. There was there a VR2 or not? But we are getting our Befehl over here, see? We are getting a set of 7. It was HP1 VR1. HP2, yes, HP2 VR1. So why did we get... For what did we get the Zwangsbremsung then? So, starting program is active. We got a Fahrtbegriff of more than 30, and we don't expect another influencing. That means we can release. And here's our Gegengleisanzeiger Auftrag. There was nothing there, says running well, if you say so. So even if we seem to go on the right track, it is actually the left track. Donut Diplomat said, yeah, the BR103 woke up today and chose to give me a penalty break for no reason. Just to indicate that it is still there. That was the SIFA. Instrument brightness cannot really be increased a lot. So I think we are out of the Weichenbereich. Instead, this was not an exit signal, but it was a P signal. P signal should be an exit signal, right? Now we have a VR2. And we are not getting 1000 Hertz. Interesting. Since I cannot read my instruments anyway, and let's turn on the light on the roof. The thing is with the instrument lights, they are actually on, but you can't really see it. Instrument brightness at 100%, LED brightness at 100%, indicator brightness at 100%, and still we're not seeing anything. What is the limit here? 80 or something, right? Yeah, it's 80 and then 60 for the switch, where we are actually getting back to our proper track. So, here is the 60 that was announced by the VR2. What is maybe an E60 according to the timetable. This is why it was not announced at the signal, at the distance signal. Now we're going over, right? Yeah, we're going over. And Donut Diplomat, this was a situation where we got the ZS3 with the 6, even before we hit the switch with the 60 limit. To slow us down properly for it. After the switch we will have an 80 limit. And now we're going from left Rhine to right Rhine. Ronnie, not sure if 103 lifter or my PC noise-wise, yeah. Yeah, the lifter, the air blowers are quite loud here. 3 units coupled together, yeah. That is what we run with the 430 on Frankfurt S-Bahn most of the time. So now we're not getting any power. What did I do to lose the power? I did not turn on the transformer switch. Sometimes we get a weird... No, it's coming. It is coming! Increase to 140. Donut Diplomat, my notebook is so loud when I'm playing Trains in World, like I barely hear the safety systems. That's a difficult thing. Mainz Gustavsburg here, if I'm not mistaken. That's why I play in headphones. Yeah, I also play in headphones all the time. Not only because I need the microphone. And I'm speeding again. So, let's see how we get on from Bischofsheim. Most probably through that 60 switch into Rüsselsheim. That is set as 2V. Indicating that we will be routed to Frankfurt. What does the yellow F on the signal mean, Donut Diplomat? Yeah, it announces a white F, and this is an indicator that tells us what path is set for us. So those letters typically mean a certain pathing. See the radar doing the longest run. And what speed limit did I miss here? 120. Okay. It was a different routing that I thought. $130 for here. And now we're not coming in via this semaphore signal here. I will be running Linke Rheinstrecke 2 tonight to see the radar. Ronnie, no, it's usually the start of the station close to the next switch that would lead into another direction. So we did not get any limit indicated here. Yeah, but it... Yeah, typically it can show more different letters. But I guess some can either light a letter or no letter at all. You have those theater indicators in bridge signaling also, for example. We are not going into the station, but we're passing on the right lane, and this is why we are not slowed down to 60 here. Since on Tuesday the new DLC will give a new timetable for it, I thought it might be nice before we have an unboxing stream on Tuesday. We are at Rüsselsheim now. Yes, CD Radar is giving back my comments on his stream to me now, and it is true, we are at Rüsselsheim. First the Opelwerke, then the city. Ronnie back in 5 to 10 minutes, just gotta land my bird. Yes, land your bird safely, please. Here is the 100 limit that was announced, and at the same time, or shortly after, and it moved. All my comments. Well, where am I going with my tab changer? We actually want to accelerate to 160 here. Or was it 140? Should have... No, at 160. Radar McFly, he didn't get this. Because Spectre typically says Marty McFly when we're talking about time travel. Alluding to Back to the Future. And this is why I said Radar McFly. Reminds me of the Vorarlberg DLC in this section, except the mountains. Yeah, because of the green sound barrier walls, right? Probably the same assets. Limit to 130 announced. No 1000 hertz here, that makes sense. But slowing down makes sense too. Now we should get LZB. And here we are. A stop announced in 2 kilometers. That means we can have it roll. But where is our V-Ist-Anzeiger? Can you see any yellow indicator here? I can't. But now we're getting KS2 anyway. But weird. Why are we getting KS2 here on the distance signal? And LZB is still telling us that there were 2 kilometers left. And now the stop moved away. Since we are on the LZB, I can ignore the KS2. Even if it is a bit weird. 13 is good. Yeah, but this is weird. Why don't we have a V-Ist indicator? V-Sol indicator, not the yellow one, the red one. There should be a red indicator on the outside of the speed clock telling us how fast we can go. But it is not. So how am I supposed to drive according to Führungsgrößen if there are no Führungsgrößen? It allows us to go with 200 at this point. Isn't it grey? Well, according to here, something red should give us the V-Sol. And I can't see a red one, and I can't see a grey one. I can't see anything. Where is it? Uh-huh. But it should be at 200, shouldn't it? It should drop to 180 soon. Ah, yeah, I can see it. Now. But it is almost... It is hard to see. It is there, it is grey. That should be... Should be red or something, because this grey thingy you can't really see. KS2. Is there a second switch for the instrument lights? Because I have not found one to make my instrument lights actually light up. That's the switch here with the I key. So at least the red signal corresponds with what we are giving on the indicator. Maybe there is an additional fuse for it, but my LEDs are at most brightness. Now we even got the restricted monitoring. Why is the restricted monitoring running while we're running under LZB? That is a bit weird. We did not have a PZB monitoring at all, but now we are getting... The Wechselblinken. Don't know if this train would do this. Even under LZB. That's a question for Ronnie. G indicator lights up because it wants us to stop. Yeah. We are so super slow. Maybe it will switch before we get there. Now it switched, see. No, it didn't. It was just a light effect. At any rate, the LZB did not realize. A little switch when you stop always happens to me because of how unlucky I am, says Donut Diplomat. Yeah, well. But it's a classic, it will always switch as soon as you stop and apply the brakes, and then you have to release the brakes again. There's a GPA around this signal, as it seems. Now it switched. Now it switched, and LZB does it, yeah. Similar dispatcher moments, says Theodorus. Especially when you're finally stop your super heavy train and then you have to crank up on the big everything again after releasing the brakes for 4 hours. I want to add trains in world multiplayer mode or a mode where you can be a dispatcher. Well, this won't happen so soon, I think, even though a lot of people are actually asking for it. Okay, a speed limit to 100 is announced. I'm still a bit spooked because of the Wechselblinken. Stop in 2000. Do you think it will give us? No, it won't, because otherwise it would already have given us. So the restricted monitoring won't stop us. This is Flughafen Fernbahnhof. Yep, there is a fuse to lights up second from left. End the procedure, end the procedure. So it will release me with 160, is that correct? Yeah, looks like it. And I don't need to brake. I'm still free. And now we are out of LZB and can go 160 normally. There is a fuse to light up second from left. Thank you. Here we go. Limit to 100. But I doubt that it will be red. Well, next time we will see. And Donut Diplomat, you should buy Simrail if it comes up on a sale. It is a really good train simulator. And you get a huge load of content if you just buy the base game for a couple of bucks when it comes on sale. And your notebook hides you already. Alright. I get it. Just wanted to make the point. Aha, this time we're actually getting 1000 Hertz for the ZS3V Kensifer 6. Just slow down quickly to the 80 so that the PCB does not stop us, and then smoothly to the 60. So how long are we in? 2 hours and 3 minutes, says the timer. Was that here Stadion or something like this? Oh, did we get a Stumpfgleisanzeige here? No. Unfortunately, I did not see what it gave us. Or are we going into the left track again? No, we're not going into the left track. It was in a station and we're staying on the right. '90 as soon as the train has passed. Probably already out of the Weichenbereich, but I'm not sure. Now should be coming through NIederrad. And see the reader says, oh man, my internet connection totally failed. Did it? During your stream or during my stream? No. During last couple of minutes, alright. That's always annoying. Limit to 60 is announced. While we are passing the 430 most probably. Now it is passing us. Mean. Here another letter that we don't need to acknowledge. It's one of the few yellow things that we don't have to acknowledge. The ZS2V. See, the other train is getting a ZS7 too. Drive-by. Oh, that was a weird drive-by on the bridge. Let's do another one out of it. Nice one. What goes to Koblenz? Whoop. Yeah, this timetable is actually busy. The Regionalbahn, oh, I didn't pay attention to this. Okay. Should have make you do the drive-by when the ICT was passing. Yeah, but it also looked nice in the cap. So, Frankfurt skyline. We're going to the rightmost part in this station. Track number 1. $60, drop to $40 announced. So, actually I should have slowed down to 40, but I was admiring everything around me. Just made it in time and overbraked. KS2, that is 3v3. And the SIFA. And there is actually a limit to 3. That gets announced here. Does this strike anyone as odd? In KS2 together with an ZS3V? You have to expect to stop at the next signal and still you have to expect to slow down. 230. It's one of those situations where you're encountering a speed limit before you have to stop at the end. And we're going all the way to the right. Yeah, it is totally correct. But on the other tracks you actually get ZS3 with 3 before you hit the Prellbock. So I did not mean to claim it as being a bug, but it is definitely a situation that only happens if you're running into a dead-end track or a track with a Zugdeckungssignal on or something. Here we are. A buffer stop. Buffer block or so, yeah. Now I get it, says Ronnie. So Ronnie, what we got here, it is clear. The Wechselblinken of 70 and 85. We got it when we were running under LZB and were approaching very, very slowly a red signal. So going under the Umschaltgeschwindigkeit, that is totally okay. But does this happen if you're running under LZB? It did not stop us then when we accelerated again. But is it possible that this, or this is an MFA 8? MFA 7, something like this, starts doing this thing with the 70 and 85. No, I was not at the NIederrad. NIederrad came later. I think NIederrad was after we passed Fernbahnhof, and it was when we were approaching probably the Einfahrsignal for the Fernbahnhof. Under no circumstances then, no. Alright, yeah. Thank you for clarifying. So this is probably a gaffe in the simulation. Guys, we are here. Maybe we should open the doors so that our passengers can actually exit the train. Yeah, PCB is inactive under LZB, as are the LMs. Die Leuchtmelder, the indicators he's talking about. So, and we are at Frankfurt Hauptbahnhof. Here's the Gleisabschlusssignal at the buffer block. That tells us that we can't pass the buffer block, even if we tried. What is that? Is that a collectible? No, it is a trash can. Alright guys, thank you so much for bearing with me. We recapped the Linke Rheinstrecke. On Tuesday we will have an unboxing stream for the newest DLC that is supposed to be released on Tuesday. I usually do my new DLC streams after the product has already been released to the public, unlike other ambassadors who like to do that a couple of hours or days before the release. But this was actually always annoying me when I was not an ambassador yet, and somebody could play the game before I could even buy it. So I'm not doing this, at least at the moment not. And I will do a release unboxing stream when it has been released, and then we will get a 1984 timetable for the Linke Rheinstrecke, not for Frankfurt S-Bahn, where we are at the moment. Yeah. And guys, watch CD Radar doing the whole track from Koblenz to Mainz, from Mainz to Frankfurt, from Frankfurt to Fulda, from Fulda to Kassel in his afternoon stream. Or don't watch it if you want to hear him speak Czech. It is really a beautiful language to listen, not so beautiful to learn. Still one shot. Yes! And subscribe to his channel so that he can be a partner. Finally. Okay. I will end it here. We won't get the conclusion screen because it was only spawn service that we took from Mainz Hauptbahnhof to here. See you all, says Theodorus. I can just repeat that. Guys, thank you so much. And Donut Diplomat subscribe to CD Radar. Take Take care, Ronnie. Thank you so much for your insight, guys, and see you around on Tuesday, maybe. Bye bye.